All right, guys, welcome to Viper Pit. I'm here with the Great Britain captain, Philip Pratt. How's it going, Philip?
Good, thank you. How you doing?
Good, good. I'm excited for this. Thanks for doing this. We appreciate it.
Of course, no worries. Glad to come on.
All right, well, just to start off, can you talk about your journey into the sport of wheelchair basketball?
Yeah, so I came from like I guess a sporting background. Played wheelchair tennis at quite a high level. I guess from the age of like maybe 13, and I quit when I was about 17, I think, 16, 17. But during that period of time, I was always playing basketball like every other week, kind of just like a keep fit, trying to get quicker for tennis. But tennis for me was always kind of like, it felt more like a job, even at like a young age. I didn't really enjoy it. Whereas every week or every other week, like I was saying, I'd go to the basketball court and I just loved balling. Like it was so enjoyable. It was like a hobby. I remember my first GB junior camp I went to, and at the time, Murray Tresidder, ex Australian head coach, and then obviously ex GB head coach at the time, was there. And he said, like, you've got a big future in this. And it's kind of the ball's in your court, whether you want to continue playing tennis or basketball. And I don't know, just something about the environment, the having, I think there was like 20 different like players all competing to get into like the last 12, and the kind of camaraderie, like the jokes and the good vibes with everyone there was so good. Like, I love that. Tennis is cool, but it was like such an individual sport. And I'm quite a, I guess, social guy, so I like being around a group. Yeah.
Exactly. And then like you say, if it feels like a job, it's probably not right. And that's interesting. I like hearing how people got into it because you're right. Like between a solo sport and a team sport, I'd personally prefer a team sport as well. It's
Yeah.
cooler to be with the group of guys and just, joke around and have fun. So
Yeah.
you're obviously quite the player if you're a captain. What is your training and workout regimen like to stay at such an elite level?
So I guess a normal week, like right now, we're getting ready for our season, but I guess I'll give you like a normal week during the season. Obviously, with the COVID and the quarantine, it's been a bit of a crazy uh, pre-season, but we're training Monday to Friday. Usually, it's like roughly 2 to 3 sessions a day. So, for example, like Monday, I'll get up, I'll go lifting, which is like gym work, around 9:30, for about an hour 30, followed by like a light shoot around, and then we'll have team training that evening, usually like 7:30 to 9 p.m. And that's I usually do the gym 4 times a week and shooting most days, and then obviously we have a game on the Saturday as well. So it's usually 2 to 3 training sessions Monday to Friday, followed by a game on Saturday, and then Sunday's the only day off really.
Right. And so you're from Wales originally, and I'll
I
just go
am.
off the UK in general. How many opportunities are there for wheelchair basketball athletes in the UK?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question actually. Like you said, I'm from Wales. I usually tell everyone I'm from England because people, unless you're from Europe, people don't really know where Wales is. So I'm like, yeah, I'm from England. It's easier to say. But Wales in particular is a very, I guess, it's definitely growing now. But when I kind of got involved in basketball, there were not many opportunities. It's very much a athletics or swimming kind of country. So, okay, you've got good coordination, you're powerful, you're fast. Let's put you in a racing wheelchair, or let's see how far you can throw a javelin or a shot put, or how fast can you swim. But like I was saying, I love the kind of team aspect of it, and that kind of drew me into it. But Great Britain as a whole for wheelchair basketball is huge. There's like the able-bodied game isn't that big in the UK, but wheelchair basketball is huge and it's growing like constantly. Even you see the amount of like able-bodied players that are now wanting to play our sport is incredible.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good to hear that it's growing because
Yeah,
even Chris Chandler there was telling me that UK only recently has it been kind of prominent, and that's I love to hear that the wheelchair sports in general are growing. And so
mm.
over the years, who are some of the coaches that you remember and that made a positive impact on your playing style?
Yeah. So I guess if I go like early days, Caroline Matthews, she was a ex GB women's player. I think it was called like Big Bird. She was an absolute beast. But fundamentally, like she knew everything about the game. I've been like super lucky really to the coaches I kind of grew up with were like amazing. Caroline Matthews helped me like from day one, like telling me the basics and making sure I'm working on my left hand as well as my right hand, and looking to score the ball as well as trying to play make, like everything. She was like, you have to be good at everything if you want to kind of take that next step. And then Haj, obviously my national coach, he grew up with, well, I grew up, I guess, with him around the junior setup, because it's only until, I guess, the last, like, I don't know how many years, maybe 10 years that he's been involved in the men's side of things. So he was always with the juniors. And obviously I'm biased because he's my coach, but for me, the guy is like the best coach in the world, like hands down. If you want someone to literally, I don't consider myself as being that talented or special or whatever, but he literally like turned myself, turned Greg Warburton, turned these like players into Greg Warburton, for argument's sake, was going hard with Haj, training every single day, and kind of went from not making the team to being a kind of fringe player in the Rio Paralympics, not really playing, to being the MVP. Like, I'm not saying it's all down to Haj, but like he had a huge impact on a lot of our younger guys coming through. And then other than that, Matt Foden was our junior coach at the time. He's awesome. He's genuinely a very, very good coach. He's not currently involved with our setup, but I'm trying my best to get him back involved because he's so good. He's young and he's got a lot of good ideas. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, good to hear too. And so, as captain, I'm Chris and I are both curious. Who are, like, maybe not who, but can you describe your Great Britain teammates in maybe a few sentences and what they mean to you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. A few sentences. It's like I'm completely honest about everything. Like, when I first kind of got involved, it wasn't a good vibe. It wasn't a good bunch of dudes to be around. Like, and I said that to them. I can say it openly and honest right now. And I genuinely believe like the group of the players we have now, it's almost like it is like a bunch of friends, especially our younger guys that came through, like me, George Bates, Harry Brown, Greg Warburton, James McSorley. I'm just naming like half our team now, but we kind of all came through together, even like Lee Mannings and Kyle Marshes and those guys. But we've definitely got like a really good mix of characters with the youth and experience. Even if you look at the World Championships, for argument's sake, we had the likes of like Terry Bywater and Gaz Chowdhury, who are like two of arguably the best scorers in the world right now, playing very limited minutes. But their impact, like helping our younger guys every time out, every end of quarter, like the little piece of information and advice they're giving you, like, oh, make sure the next play, Matt Scott's jumping from this position. So if you keep a heads up, you can maybe cut baseline, you'll get a nice little dump down. Cool. Next play, it happens. And like, these guys are kind of feeding that information to us. That was definitely not like a few lines. That was a lot more. Apologize. But yeah.
Yeah, and while having that veteran presence, whether they're playing 30 minutes or 5, it's almost like a second coach. You know what I mean? It's like in any sport. I'm a huge sports guy, and usually in any sport, the teams with 2 or 3 of those older guys that have been there, done that, are definitely, they're priceless. It's not something you can almost describe. It's very interesting. And when you guys are playing, who are some of the main rivals of your team when you're playing on the international level?
Obviously the USA. Even though we kind of beat them in the World Championship final, we still kind of go into that game against them, or the future games against them, almost like underdogs. You know, I see the guys on that team being like a 3 or mid-pointer. I'm an absolute fan of wheelchair basketball, like you are, like even to this day. I remember watching like Mikey Page, Paul Schulte, Sean Norris's, Steve Serio, Matt Scott. Like, those are the guys I kind of idolized and kind of molded my game around. So to be going up against them now is crazy. But yeah, USA without shadow of a doubt. And then European, there's a lot of strong European teams right now. You know, Turkey always seem to be in some crazy triple, quadruple overtime game against us constantly. And then Spain are just that horrible team that we don't want to play against. They're usually playing 4 bigs. They just go hard. They push the floor for like 40 minutes a game. So for me, Spain and the US are our 2 like toughest, I guess, competition right now. But there's just so many good teams right now. You know, you can't turn up and have a bad day against anyone. Come out against Canada and you've got the greatest of all time, Pat Anderson. You don't show up that day, he's going to drop 50 on you and you're going to lose. You could go and play against Germany. You've got Thomas Bomers and Haluskis and these guys who can on any given day turn up and kill you. So it's good. The competition is so high right now. It's good to be part of that.
Definitely, it's great to see. And then I actually interviewed Pat with a few of the Canada guys, and I'm just so fascinated by the process that you guys go through to get to where you are. Like people think, oh, Paralympics, it's nothing. No, you guys are athletes just like the Olympians, and it's. I don't know if you've seen Rising Phoenix, but I recommend that movie to everyone.
Yeah.
It's just so cool to see the process. And can you talk about the World Championship winning gold and just the process that was involved in that?
It was tough. There were a lot of lows going into that. It's tough. Obviously, being like my first, I was thinking my first tournament as captain, I think it was, and just trying to really get the best out of everybody. Trying to make sure we're as tight knit as a group as possible, and that's not even just the team. That's like the staff, the coaching staff, the physios, and everyone else around, making sure we're all together for one common goal. And going into it, Joey Johnson was our ex assistant coach, a good friend of mine, and he was always kind of talking about, you guys when Tokyo come around, like you in the US, and I was just going into that tournament in the Worlds like, we can win this, like we can legitimately win this, and I don't think anyone thought that. I kind of made a joke with George about it, who's my roommate. I was like, I think in the group stage, I think they'll beat us, but in that final, like we're gonna come out guns blazing, and that's exactly what happened. I just think it was almost like a shock that game, and we just kept taking it away, and then I think everyone was kind of watching it like, Jesus, like we're almost playing with like a bunch of like young guys and one forward. We're going up against Matt Scott, Steve Serio, Brian Bell, Mikey Pay, Jake Williams, all these like phenomenal guys, and we just turned up and kind of crushed them on the day. But they're going to come back. We're fully aware of that for sure.
Yeah, and definitely congrats on the goal. That was pretty impressive. I didn't catch it, but I was watching highlights, and it's such a wicked sport. Like I love the NBA, but I think wheelchair basketball is more intriguing for me, especially being disabled myself. I mean, it's just so cool to see. So just going away from the national level a bit, what is Europe like? Like what are some of the top leagues in Europe, and what, in your opinion, is the best league in Europe?
Yeah, it's going to sound like I'm being biased because I play in Spain, but if you look at the attraction of all the players that are coming here, it's stacked. There's every team, like in this off season, has been ridiculous. Ilunion, who are arguably the best team in the world, or one of the best teams in the world, have just signed Greg Warburton, who was the MVP of the World Championships. We just signed Jake Williams, who was like the MVP of the last year's champion, or the previous season's Champions Cup final. So you've got like already an absolute stacked team, and you put two of the best shooters, scorers in the world in that team as well. That's going to be pretty scary. And you see the likes of like Albacete, they're already huge, and they just signed Alejandro Zarzuela, who's one of the biggest and most dominant threes in the world right now. And obviously we've just picked up Matt Scott and a few other good pickups. So in my opinion, the German league is very good. It's very professional. They get a good kind of following from their crowds and the clubs. But in terms of like standards and the level of ball, I think if anyone tells you another league is better than Spain, then that's not true. Italy also is very good. Porto Torres, Cantu, Santa Stefano. It's good. Like I love it. Obviously, I was saying before, I'm like a fan of the game, so it's cool to see like all these kind of countries. Even like the Turkish league is stacked now as well. But if I have to pick one, it's got to be Spain. You see like Matt Scott and Jake Williams are kind of coming from the German league because they want to be part of this league because it's so strong.
Yeah, and that's what Chris and a few of my other wheelchair basketball buddies were saying. Like Spain is the best league, and they said what you did. Like, yeah, it's a matter of opinion basically, but they go, if you're going for skill, it's Spain, and it's quite impressive. And what team do you play for, and who would you say is your main rival in the league?
So my team is Madiba, Extra Madeira. It's like a very old club. Quite random really how we ended up here, but long story short, me and George were just playing some Fortnite or whatever at the time, and they like got us both a message like, do you want to come as like a package? And we were like, want to go to Spain? Yeah. So we just kind of went, like super off the fly, random. So we've got a very good team, and this year we've strengthened, obviously signing Matt Scott, and we've got Salvador, a ridiculous, he could be one of the best fours to play the game. He's phenomenal this year. But then our rivals, it's tough. Like I was saying, the depth of Spain is ridiculous. So you've got Ilunion, who are probably the best team or have been the best team in Spain for the last 4 or 5 years. You've got Albacete, who are phenomenal. They've got a bunch of GB players, and they've also just signed Alejandro. And then you've got Bilbao, who are stacked. But even then, there's like there's teams like Vigo, Valladolid, Gran Canaria. Gran Canaria finished higher than us last season. Like on any given day, if you don't turn up against one of those teams, you're gonna lose. It's crazy, yeah. So we've got a lot of rivals, if you like.
Awesome, awesome. And so I'm just going back to the playing style a bit. So over the years, who are some of the teammates that really left an impression on you, and maybe you took some of their kind of styles and put it into your own game?
For guys that I've played with, Matt Scott, without a doubt. I only had one season with him out in Port Torres, but he couldn't tell you what he's doing or how he's doing it. You just got to watch him and the stuff he was doing. Like I've never seen someone literally like almost break someone's wheelchair. And they have the expression like breaking ankles in the able-bodied game. Like he's just going 100 mile an hour and just pulls up and his chair pivots and the defender's still going that way and he's just wide open taking some crazy shot. I'm like, Jesus. But he's just constantly getting a piece of the ball defensively. He's just harassing everybody. Just being around him kind of just changed my mindset. I've always been like OCD with training and trying to put in more hours than everyone else, but seeing how that guy goes to work every day, like he's in the gym at 8 a.m., lifting crazy weights, getting up shots after, and I'm like, I need to do that. I have to do that. So without a doubt, yeah, Matt has got to be the big standout. But in terms of GB, there's been so many players. Gaz Chowdhury's helped me a lot. He's a guy who understands the game of wheelchair basketball more than any other player that I know. Like how to run, like certain ways to pivot your wheelchair, certain ways to kind of bounce off someone's chair so you get like an automatic fade away without even touching your wheels. Like these little things. I've learned a lot from him. And then I guess someone who helped me a little bit, who I would like to kind of rekindle that kind of conversation or go back into that conversation is Johnny Pollock. He's like an ex-GB point guard and he was phenomenal, could score, his vision was stupid. Like he'd see a pass and he'd make a pass. I'm like, I couldn't even see that ever. Like I could never make that play and he's just like half a step ahead of everyone constantly. So yeah, those three.
Awesome, awesome. And so I'm just going to add this question in because I think, well, hopefully a lot of young people will be watching this. What is some advice you could give to young players starting in the sport to, be the best they can be? What would you tell a young person if you were talking to them about it?
Enjoy it. You've got to enjoy the game first. Like I was saying, I was playing wheelchair tennis and basketball, and I didn't enjoy playing tennis. Like I feel like if you're really going to really push and try and be a professional athlete in wheelchair basketball, you have to enjoy it. That's got to be the first thing. And then the second thing is just to work harder than anybody else. There's no kind of other formula to it. If you're willing to put in the extra work that someone else isn't. I remember growing up, I don't want to like name names, but I grew up with some like other junior players at the time who were way better than me. Way, way, way better. More talented, stronger, quicker, could shoot better, could ball handle better. I was like, I'm going to put in whatever they're doing, I'm going to try and double that. And then kind of overtaking them eventually and then going into the men's program and kind of seeing them plateau and staying at that level. What that quote I put on some Instagram was like, hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard, or something along the lines of that. So you can be the most talented guy in the world, but if you're not going to put the work in, you're kind of got to be there. Whereas if you're constantly working, like day by day, you're going to be constantly improving. So yeah, enjoy it and work hard. Is kind of a cliche thing to say, but yeah.
I mean, it is, but it's true. You like you say, well, again, I'm a big sports fan, and you always see guys with so much talent, but they just seem like they don't care, and it's sad because what a waste of talent. Like you've got so many places you can go, and you're slacking off, and then you, like you say, you plateau, and that's it. And like once you're in your mid-20s, if you're not still improving, you're pretty much stuck where you are. And I was just talking to my dad earlier about Kobe. Like, look at Kobe Bryant, like how hard he worked, and that mentality was just second to none. He could beat you with his attitude alone, and that I think is something very important. So moving on, what's next for you and the Great Britain team? Like what are some of the main events coming up? I know the Paralympics, but just give me maybe some goals over the next year or two for you.
Stay healthy as a team. that's got to be the most important thing. Stay healthy, stay fit, stay COVID free, and then hopefully the Paralympics go ahead. You know, I'm very much a positive, optimistic person. However, in a year's time, we have all these different nations coming into one bubble to play and compete. I don't know. It doesn't sound very likely, but win a gold medal at the Paralympics. That's what it's all about for us. And then yeah, from there, I don't know. That's kind of it's difficult because our sport always runs in cycles. You know, we finish London Paralympics, then you're thinking about Rio, and then you finish Rio, you're thinking about Tokyo. So for us, it's all leading towards that, staying fit, staying focused, staying together as a group, and then being in the best possible shape for if Tokyo comes.
Definitely, and then definitely stay mentally sharp too. Like you say, it's hard right now for a lot of people to keep on it, but just be safe and keep going. Well, Phil, I really appreciate you coming out today on behalf of the Burlington Vipers. Thanks again for doing this, and stay fit and stay well, and hopefully we can stay in touch. I'd love to also interview for my blog if you're down at any point as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever, hit me up. I'm always free. Always down to talk about basketball.
All right, man. Awesome. Take care. And thanks again for all your insight. We really do appreciate it.
No worries, man. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.